And welcome to Suffocating in Suburbia. I'm your host, Stevie GB, here at the America First Warehouse. I got a new sign, Suffocating in Suburbia. They spelled it right this time. Last time it said like Suffocating in Suburbia or something like that. Doesn't matter. We got good people working here. They know what they're doing. My first show had 80,000 views. My second show had 40,000 views. Let's break the record today, folks. Today, we're going to talk about the economy on Long Island. We're going to talk about taxes. Yes, Ben Franklin said there's only two things in life, death and taxes. We're not going to talk about death. I don't want to talk about death. It's been a rough couple of weeks, and let's just keep it at that. We're going to keep it light. We're going to talk about the big, beautiful bill, the good, the bad, and the ugly. What they're lying about. They're lying to us. Chuck Schumer's lying about us. Hold on, I'm going to give my Chuck Schumer. I got a Chuck Schumer impersonation. Here we go. Republicans. He's got new glasses. Republicans. There it is. Republicans. All right. So much for Chuck Schumer. The heck with him. All right. My guest today is a guy that you have seen on News 12. That's the only plug I'm going to give him. News 12, Long Island. He was on the new normal during the pandemic. The spamdemic, whatever you want to, scamdemic. The new normal. Mr. Marty Cantor, Dr. Marty Cantor, CPA. You know him, you love him. He's a great guy. And another guest I have today, last minute, he was glad to come. This guy knows everybody. Everybody knows Brian Cohen. DTM. What does DTM stand for?
Distinguished Toastmaster.
Don't talk to me?
Yeah.
Distinguished Toastmaster.
Last minute. I got to change my tagline.
The last minute
guy.
The last minute guy. If you ever need a guest for anything, Brian is available. He's there. He sits at home and waits for the phone to ring. No, I'm just kidding.
I got a story for that one, too.
He's got stories. We all have stories. So we're going to have fun today. We're going to talk economics. We're going to talk Long Island. We're going to talk about the big, beautiful bill. This is political. It's obviously a very political place, but we're going to be fair. We're going to be truthful. We're going to talk about everything. So I hope you enjoy it. I want to talk about Social Security and Medicare because I'm of age. And I'm going to ask Marty if I'm doing the right thing because I have no idea. I'm just winging it. So here we go. All right. So let's just get right into it. All right, Marty, you ready? We're going to talk about the big, beautiful bill. As you know, it passed. Trump called it the one big, beautiful bill, and then they changed it to the big, beautiful bill, the BBB. What do we know about it? All right, so I went to this website called the Tax Foundation, and I think they're middle of the road. I don't know. Do you know anything about them?
Oh, yeah, they're a very impressive group, and they are middle of the road.
Okay.
And the good thing about the Tax Foundation is that they do an analysis, and what the numbers show is what they present. And they're very helpful in bringing us a little sanity to take the politics out of the bill. Even though everything that happens in Congress today is political, they try to put a spin on it, what actually the bill means, who's going to be impacted, and what the benefits are.
Good. Then I went to the right place because I was afraid. I looked a lot. I combed the internet, and everything is so biased, and you could tell immediately which side they're on. But this was the only one that I found was fair. Although some of the things they said were bad, I disagreed with. But we could talk about that. So let's just see this. Now, the good, they're saying that the law makes expensing for investment in short-lived assets and domestic research and development permanent. All right, for the layman out there, that sounds like it's good for business.
Oh, it's very good for business. Look, businesses have to continue to produce new product to meet the demands of the public. And especially on Long Island in particular, with the burgeoning biotech industry, there's a lot of money being spent on research and development. And to have the ability, normally what happens is that when you do research and development on a product, you have to capitalize it. That means you add it to the base of the product and then write it off over time. And that doesn't help a business who is crimped for cash. So what happens is what this new big beautiful bill does is it says you can expense up to $4 million, or if you're a small business, right away in the first year that you incur the expenses, and that reduces your taxes, so you can reinvest those taxes in more production. So that's a real positive thing for business.
Oh, that's great. So it's not an amortization
No, it's
situation.
not. And the other thing is, look, it also relates to jobs, because every time a business can save on taxes and reinvest in the business, invariably they'll hire more people because profits increase, and that creates more jobs in the economy. And every job that you create in the Long Island economy usually spins off between a half and one other job. So you want new jobs, you want to retain new jobs, and lowering taxes for business who actually create capital and create profits and create employees. You need that to contain on Long Island, especially since we have so many people leaving the region.
Exactly, exactly. I think that's key. I remember I came here in 1972, and Long Island was a manufacturing paradise. And we had Grumman and Fairchild and Telephonics and Hazeltine, all of them. And they fed off everything else, and that's all gone.
Oh, it's terribly gone. Just one statistic, but I'm sorry.
Okay.
Manufacturing used to be 15% of our labor force. Now it's down to 5%.
Wow.
So when we have 1.1 million people in the Long Island workforce, and you've got 55,000 people in manufacturing when it used to be over 100,000, that's not good. Manufacturing in economics is something called a multiplier. And the multiplier basically means is that every job you create spins off another job. Well, manufacturing is one of the highest multiplier jobs to be created.
Of course.
And we are exporting those jobs to Florida,
Yep.
to Texas, because our costing structure. China, the president's trying to bring that back. But the fact is that we export those jobs because the cost of manufacturing, whether it be taxes, whether it be cost of labor, whether it be increased cost of minimum wage, whether the high cost of energy, that is making manufacturing prohibitively expensive on Long Island, and they're going elsewhere and taking those higher jobs with them. And the last point is we are spending about $25,000 to $30,000 a child to educate them, K through 12, per year on Long Island. So that's almost like $500,000 we're spending on education expenses. That money, that investment we are making in our labor force is going somewhere else to benefit another region. So we are really shooting ourselves in the foot on Long Island with our taxing structure and our costs.
We're suffocating in suburbia, folks. This is exactly what I'm talking about. But, one thing, and we'll get to you in a minute. One thing that
It's painful for me to sit here and not talk.
I know, it's hurting you. But we'll get there. One thing that always bothers me, Marty, and I say this a lot, is it's great that Trump is bringing back manufacturing and we're going to have this back. Where are the people? I mean, what kind of people is the workforce there?
Well, you see, here's an interesting part. When I served as Commissioner of Economic Development for Suffolk County, we had the same discussion. Goodness, it was like in the early 90s, late 80s. Business was just saying we can't find employees to hire for our businesses, and there was a disconnect between the growth of the jobs and what the colleges and universities in the region were teaching their kids.
Right.
And in surveys I have done, I find a lot of them, whether it be millennials or Gen X, they have job skills that don't match the jobs we're creating. So there has to be a conversation, and there is one on Long Island, a conversation between businesses and the jobs that our universities have to educate the kids to take. And that's starting to happen slowly. So education is a big process. So when the president says he wants to bring back jobs to America, and he increases the visa costs to make it more expensive to bring in foreign labor. He wants our students, our young children, to get those skills that the visa workers are getting,
Right.
so businesses can hire those students. So the businesses have to talk to the educational institutions and say, look, these are my costs. AI is big. Let's start teaching our kids the skill sets they need for the jobs that we want to hire. That's what the president's trying to do.
Yeah, so you're talking about trades, you're talking about apprenticeships, these are the things. Instead of going to school and learning philosophy, they need to learn the skills needed
Well, like
to fill
Stony
these
Brook,
jobs.
Stony Brook is great on that.
Right.
They do great. Their incubator program, their the educational programs. They were just named, I think, the 59th best college in the United States by U.S. World and News. Or U.S.
Yeah,
businesses,
I saw
I
that.
think.
It was like number 40, I think, out of the
49. It was
400.
59, but the fact is
59 out of
that
400.
they're teaching students what they need. Now, the trick is when the kids graduate from SUNY, there has to be hired-paying jobs on Long Island for them to stay,
Right.
not for them to leave the region and go to Texas and go to Florida and go to other places with that knowledge that they have learned from our institutions.
Well, maybe something like this R&D credit helps them invest. That helps.
Well, that helps businesses
Right.
hire these people
Right,
because
they'll be able to pump the money back into the company.
absolutely. They
and-
get the deductions. They have more money, more
Right.
capital, more excess capital to hire the people that we're educating to stay in the region, to generate more economic impact. That's the beginning.
That's great. Brian,
Sir,
what do you got to say about all this?
let me just say, I'm
Okay.
thrilled to be here with you. Even though I was second fiddle invite on that one, or maybe third, who knows? But whatever. Really happy to be here. And
Of course.
Marty Cantor, too. Same thing. I love the fact that you're so well versed in the economics of Long Island, for one, but then on a national level, for two. My effort has been on a much more local level. So I agree with everything you're talking about here. Find it interesting with the tax credits that they don't have to be amortized over such a long period of time, because now you have the ability for these companies to invest in some technology, and then all of a sudden, 5 years later, that technology is no longer, top, the most current thing. So you have new
5
technology,
years,
so
more
that
like
can really
18
help
months.
out.
I think it's 18 months the technology turns over.
Yeah.
But close enough.
But
15,
and I've
somebody
seen
said
this at a
15.
local level. You're talking about, the brain drain on Long Island, which is
Yeah.
something we could have
Oh,
spoken
yeah.
about you probably have spoken about 10, 15, 20 years ago. There was one student I spoke to. I'm involved with the Smithtown High School, the Industry Advisory Board. And this gentleman, the student wanted to go to an avionics school. I said, wow, that's great, because we still have a big presence over here. Not as big as once was, but still a big
We have to go
presence.
to a commercial. We'll be right back.
Corrupt judges, broken families, families torn apart. This isn't justice. If you've been wronged by the system, join us. Don't stand alone. Hi, I'm Gary Jacobs, president of Americans for Legal Reform. We're the oldest legal reform group in the United States. The justice system in the United States should be transparent, fair, and open to everybody and accessible. Unfortunately, many times that's not the case. At Americans for Legal Reform, we are here to help. Join the movement. Visit AmericansForLegalReform.com and help reform the system before it fails you.
Hi, my name is Elena Ruseva, aka Megalangela. Please check my art at www.megalangela.vip.
Are you a musician, comedian, actor, filmmaker, or artist who stands for traditional American values? Do you believe in the preservation of our nation, our culture, and our freedoms? If you share our passion for America and want to use your talents to make a difference, we want to hear from you. Our mission is clear. Through the arts, we uphold the principles of freedom, faith, family, and the American spirit. It's time to step up to the mic and make your voices heard. So contact us at AmericanConservativeArtists.com. The Queens Village Republican Club is America's oldest Republican club, founded in 1875. Situated in President Trump's hometown in Queens, New York, we are America First MAGA Republicans, empowering fellow Republicans to get involved in the game of politics at the grassroots level. We host inspiring monthly club meetings on the first Thursday of each month at 8 p.m. For more information, please go to our website at www.qvgop.org.
It's Tuesday here at the America First Warehouse. I am Joe the Box.
And I'm John the Blanket.
Freddie Rubino here with my podcast. That's what I'm talking about. Coming to you live from the most patriotic venue in the land.
Welcome to Right for America.
I'm James Justice. We got Stephen Ruth over here. What are we doing, Steve?
Fighting
Welcome to Tune In Tuesday of the Patriots Podcast, live streaming every Tuesday night at 7:30.
Another edition of On the Right Side here, and you can catch us weekly, Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.
And welcome to Liberty's Cage, where we rip the veil off America's broken justice system, prisons that crush spirits, and a society that shuns people who have paid their price.
Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Kevin Downey Jr. Podcast. Be free, stay free.
Welcome to Suffocating in Suburbia with me, your host, Stevie GB. And we're back. We're back. No, we're not. Yes, we are. No, we are. We're back. We're back. Yes, live television. Okay, we're gonna continue with Brian. I mean to cut you off there, but I didn't realize the commercial came up. But you were talking about the workforce.
Don't worry, it comes with the territory. I do a lot of announcing. I announce the drag races out east, and every once in a while
I
get
get
cut off.
The drag races in Calverton.
Yeah. So when they do the burnout, I get cut off by the cars, whatever it is. But the point I wanted to make on that is that when I was with Smithtown, the Smithtown Industry Advisory Board, phenomenal. What Phil Como's doing over there, just phenomenal with the students. But this one particular student wanted to go to an avionics school, so he went down to. He was going down to Georgia. That's what school he's going to. So going down to Atlanta, I believe it was. The problem is we're never going to see this child come back, and that's because he's going to go down there. He's going to interact with the businesses that are down there.
That's Emory.
Yeah. It's my, there's plenty of those there. He's going to interact with the schools down there through various programs and cost of living and everything else, so he'll stay there. So what we need to do, and one of the things I've been advocating for, is the early stages of this thing. How do we get into the high schools or junior high schools, speak to these students, talk to them about careers, show them careers, not even talk to them about careers, but show them the careers, because we do have a lot going on here. We have something like 250 defense contractors on Long Island, and we are the largest region in New York with defense contractors, and that comes from the Navy. They're putting much more of an effort down here with their Build Submarines program to help students see the careers that are involved with working for the defense contractors, not joining the Navy, but doing that. And they're even sponsoring the students going through Suffolk Community College through the welding program, and I do believe it's going to expand. I'm not sure, so I won't say. But through the welding program, so they pay for the schooling, and they get a job at a defense contractor, and they're not getting jobs. Let me get that word out of the way, that four-letter word, jobs. They're going into careers, which then makes a lot more things much more affordable over here. This is where we keep the students here. But it really comes down to not just statistics. It really comes down to businesses going into the schools, supporting the vocational programs, supporting different trade programs, supporting anything that's happening in the high schools, and allowing these students to see the possibilities that are here. I just so happen to bring a toy with me every once in a while. Speak to the folks over at Long Island It's a Drag Strip. We show up at cars every so often, to do that. And those students that are in the automotive program, they're learning all kinds of transferable skills, which leads to manufacturing, which leads to the defense industry. And my favorite one is that microphone thing, the media marketing.
Yes.
So, Marty, that's what we need. We need to speak to our students. This way we keep them here. They keep the economy growing on Long Island, don't have that brain drain, and we could fulfill some of the longer-term goals, including keeping the defense industry strong.
Well, jobs are the key. But surveys, surveys I've done, and I asked the respondents, what job do you have? What are your skills? And invariably, there's a correlation between the skills in lower-paying jobs that students graduate with and the affordability of Long Island. We talk about affordability, and believe me, there's a lot of work to be done for affordability. Our taxes are too high, our energy costs are too high, most everything, food costs are too high, but it's because the cost of living is high. So what do? Do we dumb down our economy in a sense and dumb down the costs, or do we elevate the skill sets of the children that we teach so they can obtain those higher paying jobs and afford to live here? I would argue that the latter is the way we ought to go, is teaching kids the skills that in the jobs that are paying well enough so they can afford to live here. Yes, do we need affordable housing? Sure. But the reality is that if people can have jobs that pay good salaries, then they can afford to live here regardless of the housing we build.
It's a puzzle. It's absolutely a puzzle because we do need. You can't live on Long Island with a job. You're making $50,000 on Long Island. You're going no place. You're making $100,000 on Long Island. You're renting an apartment. You're getting by. You got the car, the rest of that. But you're not buying a house unless you got other money saved someplace else. So the jobs are not really the answer. The careers are the answer. And getting the students aware of what those careers are. And I really wondered too. Sometimes it's a matter of getting the parents aware of what some of these other careers are besides the ones that they've gone into. We do need to keep our students here. And there's multiple ways of doing that. It's up to parents, teachers, businesses, and of course the higher learning education institutions, whether it be Stony Brook,
Is this happening anywhere? Like, is the Long Island Association working on this concept?
Oh, this concept's been around for a long time.
Now's the time.
Well, actually, yes, now's the time, but the time would have been, all along.
Right.
We going through the millennial generation and the Gen X generation, and now they got
It's
alphas
slowly
and
been
betas
deteriorating.
and whatever. So we have to ingrain it in what we do. But your point is well taken, that the parents have to get involved. When I talk to my journalism friends, and they're struggling, and the industry is struggling. You see shows being canceled more for the budgets and the lack of advertisers than for the entertainment value of what's on the TV. So the reality is that yes, it's been going on. Businesses are becoming more vocal. Yes, the LIA gets involved because it has a big board, and a lot of the institutions, educational institutions, are on it, and they talk about it. But it's an evolving process, and right now, we take a look. At the kids that are leaving, and you say why, but the other point is, do you know what our biggest industry sector, the top 3 industry sectors on Long Island: healthcare, service, education. We're a service economy.
Yeah.
We're not putting things in boxes and shipping them out anymore. Right. That's the least part. So if we're a service sector economy, where is that service sector working? Are they working in New York City? Well, the LIRR is increasing the rates. You've got congestion pricing. You've got $1 billion a year that the MTA is losing for fare cheaters.
I could do a whole show about that.
And people who don't pay their fares. You go on the highways, you see license plates with that faded plastic, so they can't be caught. Yeah. I mean, we've got to start getting down to the fact that the people who play by the rules shouldn't be the ones paying the freight. Right. And I think that's something that has to happen, and that goes into the affordability of Long Island. The other point that you mentioned before, pharmaceutical industry. And when do you start? Well, when Pat Halpin was county exec and I was his commissioner of economic development, we saw the benefit of creating a biotech and high-tech corridor like Boston has, like California had. We have Cold Spring Harbor Labs. We have the Feinstein Institute. We have Stony Brook. We have those major institutions that produce and do research and development and hire high-paid employees. And what these folks are doing is attracting the intelligence from any place else but Long Island. I mean, they have a good Long Island, but they're attracting people to those institutions. Well, there's a perfect way to keep our people here and working at this biotech pharmaceutical corridor that we're trying to create.
Mm-hmm. I'll still make the argument. Do our students today know this? And they are being made aware of it more and more. Tom Mariner with Manufacturing Day. I see a lot of these institutions that you're talking about, these corporations, that including Brookhaven Lab, that are participating and they're getting involved with the students more and more. But it has to grow. It has to come from an early age, moving on. So it's not going to be fixed overnight. Hopefully, the next generation of students become the next generation of engineers that are here. And everything's changing so rapidly. The schools must continue to evolve with the whole thing. And I'll even give a shout out to the Department of Labor, shout out to the Department of Labor. 2 years ago, they took a bunch of their instructors and they met with the different high schools and different businesses to find out how they could how the Department of Labor could be a bit more effective in the career exploration stuff, and also what the schools need to do to be a bit more effective to preparing our students going forward. Because we can't just keep importing people from around. Then the wages are going to keep going up. Why? Because they need the additional money to pay these people to come over here, and it makes it less and less affordable here. It doesn't work.
But we're not importing those companies.
Right.
Not the companies, the employees.
We're not even importing those. Some of them are Brookhaven National Labs, and I admitted them from the corridor. They bring in foreign scientists and foreign researchers, to continue with the research, and that's something that we need to develop a farm system of young people that come in here, get a career, and decide to make Long Island their place to live. But then we go back to the whole idea of Long Island's not affordable or quality of life, and they'll move someplace else. So the big thing that we have to do is to make sure that that what industries that, and your point is well taken, that they have to go into the schools, and the parents have to get involved, and the choices that kids make for education and what their skill sets, skill sets they're going to learn, are the ones that match the skill sets that are required by the growing businesses in the region. There's a mismatch there.
No, absolutely.
Wouldn't it help to get the business leaders that have succeeded to come in and talk to these kids and say, this is where you could be if you follow this path? It's great to have the parents and the teachers, but I think if you get inspiring business leaders to come in and say, look, I'm making $1 million a year. I'm living on Long Island. I'm living in Brookville, and you can have that too if you follow this path. I think kids need inspiration more than
But you know something? The last thing I'll tell you is that
we're both going to disagree with them.
we're
That's
gonna
good. I love it.
Because
Neither you nor I are getting invited back. I can see it now.
Because here's the deal. When you got a
discussion.
20-year-old, I remember when I did a study on retention rates at Nassau Community College. And we found what they're telling us is when kids go to college, especially if they're the first college student in their family to go to school, they're looking kind of to party. They're looking to spread their wings, not to learn. That's the bridge you got to overcome.
I know. It's hard to get them inspired. We're going to come back. I don't know what happened. We went off topic. I want to go back to the big, beautiful bill. We're going to come back to that, I promise. And we're going to talk about everything. I want to hear about what the Democrats keep talking about. They're cutting Medicaid. I don't understand that. We're going to talk about no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security. Is that true? Is there a limit? What are the limits? It's a little confusing. No tax on overtime. There's limits. A little confusing. So we're going to talk about that when we come back. I promise. Okay, Marty?
That's a deal.
That's a deal. That's a deal. We'll be back very shortly with Marty Cohen and Brian Cohen, Marty Cantor.
Maybe we'll invite you back next time, too.
Yeah, maybe I'll figure it out at some point. We'll be back in a minute.
Who broke the television?
Can we laugh at that? Sounds a little mean.
As of this month, public gay sex will now be mandatory.
Am I the only one that could see his lips move? Cheekbones, baby.
I'm sorry, maybe I overreacted.
Corporate transfer, fine professional, moving and storage, and inventory management.
Hey, fellow patriots, it's Cindy Gross here, host of Right for America from your favorite place, the America First Warehouse. You've seen me show on my show so many products from this country's #1 most patriotic manufacturer with close to 400 products. You need to exchange the products you use in your house to this company and make your dollars count in our country.
Freddie Rubino here at the America First Warehouse. I'm inviting you to the live taping of the Not So Newlywed Show. Just click on the QR code right above my shoulder and you can get tickets. Live taping of the Not So Newlywed Show. Drinks, snacks, it's a great time. We'll see you there October 18th.
The America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be.
It's me, Joe the Box, the America First Warehouse, most patriotic venue in all the land.
The America First Warehouse, a beacon for all to see, a symbol of unity. For the patriots of America, we stand tall and free. In the America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be.
It's my job.
And you got to see.
Okay, we're back. And the big, beautiful bill. How many times did you hear Donald Trump say, President Trump, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime? And you hear the Democrats on the other side saying, he's going to kill 8 million people in Medicaid. They're going to be starving in the street. Old people are going to die. Young people are going to be starving. And, you know, we got to clear this up. What does he mean by no tax on tip? Are there limits? No tax on overtime, Social Security. What's the real deal here?
Yeah, there are no tax on tips up to $25,000 in tips, and that's great.
That's a big number.
That's great. Yep, because you have to pay Social Security. The wait staffs have to pay Social Security tax on those tips. And so it's great. It's going to put a lot of money back into people's pockets. You know, that's going to be, when you consider that Social Security is about 7.65%, you pay 15% tax, federal tax, 3% state. So you're talking 20% of those tips. That's $5,000 more in people's pockets that they're not paying to the government in taxes that they can spend in the regional economy. Real big. Overtime, $12,000, $6,000 for senior exemption that's made permanent. That helps our seniors live and spend money on the island. The bill making the standard deductions adjusted for inflation. Mm-hmm. So whereas your cost of goods go up and your wages don't, well, your standard deduction will go up so you can keep more of your tax dollars because it's adjusted for inflation. This bill does a lot of things to make America more affordable and the region more affordable, and it makes people who are hardworking in the middle class. What this bill does, I know there's a lot of talk saying, oh, it only benefits, Trump's millionaires.
Right, that's what I
but millionaires are 1.5%.
I don't know any billionaires that work for tips. Work for overtime.
Well, here's the other thing. What this bill does is it keeps permanent the tax cuts for 62% of the American taxpayers. Billionaires are only 1.5% of the taxpayers.
Right.
Middle class and upper middle class are getting tremendous benefits from this bill.
Well, what they do is they play with numbers. You know, well, dollars are different than percentages.
I would rather say they ignore the numbers rather than play with them.
Right.
And that's what we're having. And the fact is that this bill keeps a lot of the tax cuts from the 2016 bill.
So people won't necessarily see a reduction in the taxes. They'll just won't see them go up.
That's correct. But they'll also see a lot of the deductions are adjusted for inflation, and that's really important.
Right, like the standard deduction.
That's right, because when you consider inflation since the pandemic has gone about 18% since the pandemic. When President Biden came into office, inflation was 1.4%. That's what President Trump had left him, and the GDP was 2%. And so now inflation, which was a high of 9.1% in 2022 because of the Inflation Reduction Act, which we did not need, and that led to the inflation that we have now.
There was no inflation reduction in there.
Yeah, there was a lot of spending.
It was the crazy spending.
That's right.
It was a lot of things. And the pandemic had a lot to do with inflation, too. You've got to be honest.
Well, it put $2 trillion in people's pockets that we didn't need to.
Right.
Inflation is too many dollars chasing too few goods.
Exactly.
And that's what drives the price up. And that's what we're trying to get out of. Inflation is now about 2.8%, and it's stubborn. It's not coming down to 2%, which is what the Federal Reserve is looking for. It's a stubborn inflation number. That's going to have an impact on future reduction in interest rates. because
we
that
can
will only
talk about the interest rates.
because that'll
and,
only increase
Powell
inflation.
should have went down at least a point. I know he went a quarter.
Well,
but
I would kind of disagree on the. I'm
Maybe a
happy.
half.
I'm happy the quarter of a point. I know
gonna
that
do it again.
I know the president's not, but I'm happy with the quarter of a point. I want to see inflation. That would impact inflation a little bit.
Right.
But we are in very dicey times. They're complex times. There's no easy fix.
But what about this myth that you keep hearing, and you just did touch on it, that Medicaid is going to get cut and we're going to lose all the Medicaid? It's not happening. It's Medicaid. You have to be able to work. You have to be looking for a job. You get off your couch. And the other thing with Medicaid, don't the doctors cheat a little bit with Medicaid? Like they know they'll get more from. He's laughing.
I'm glad that was
They
your
get
question.
more
I'm
from
sorry.
Medicaid.
No, listen.
I got nothing.
I'm asking.
I have great docs, and I am not going to put them on
All right.
in the target.
I touched the nerve.
But the
we
reality,
know it's true.
No, but the reality is the Medicaid cut. And,
Right.
you know, I mean, this is very similar to what Bill Clinton did with his welfare reform. What they're saying is, if you're a single guy and you're sitting home and you're doing nothing and living and getting Medicaid, well, that's a problem for the economy. It's a problem for the taxpayers. What the president has said was in this bill is you won't face a Medicaid tax cut if you're looking for work, you're working, or you're going to school. Now, that's a pretty fair offer to people to saying that we'll help you with your medical expenses, but contribute to the economy. The people who are sitting home doing nothing, that's the one he's talking about.
Right. It's and illegal immigrants.
Well, the immigration is a big thing, because and that's part of the reason why with a lot of the bills we are paying for illegal immigrants who are not some contribute to the economy a lot. But remember this: if you're a legal immigrant without a Social Security number, you're getting cash. No, what a lot of these folks do is they send the cash home to the countries where they came from, and just understand this: only 24% of what a person earns is really discretionary income that can be spent in the economy, going to restaurants, going to movies, entertainment, things like that. Because the other expenses are electricity, food, housing, and those keep on going up. And we're going to get the latest figures probably next month of what consumers have actually spent in 2024, and I expect that the discretionary income will go down. And if discretionary income goes down, that's less money in the economy to spend, less sales tax revenues, makes more stress on county governments to provide goods and services. So this all comes together. And what the president is trying to do is put more money back in people's pockets to forestall that.
Yeah, and for this to happen when the holidays are coming makes it even harder if the discretionary income goes down. That's going to hurt the economy. The numbers are not going to look that good.
And when you consider that consumer debt is now $18 trillion, that's a lot. And
wow.
Auto debt and credit card debt is about $1.1 trillion. So the fact is, in that $18 trillion of housing mortgages and auto loans and things like that. But if you have credit card debt, which is now charging 20% interest, and people have to use debt to supplement their discretionary income, which I do think will go down, that's going to hurt the Christmas shopping season.
Of course.
Which many small businesses. Many small businesses require a good shopping season in December and November to carry.
You're going to have to start all over. Your mic wasn't working.
Oh my goodness!
No, I think they heard most of it.
Good.
Wow, we didn't know that was happening. Live TV. Brian, what do you think about all that? That's a lot to.
Live TV, I absolutely love.
Yeah,
Let's go on record
yeah.
saying that. It is a lot, and it is tough. What you're talking about, the credit card debt is a big number, right?
Huge.
If we have debt that's on housing, it's okay. There's good debt, bad debt. Car debt, we could debate, whether that's good or bad. But credit card debt, I have never been a favorite credit card debt. Right. And 20%, seen numbers go up more than that.
Well, you never get out of it. You never get out. Yeah, and then they claim bankruptcy.
Right, and then you pay.
Yeah, and I got to pay for it.
Right. So that certainly is a problem. And the more and more I mean, we're not talking about quality of life on Long Island, but if you have we had a show on that one too. The more and more this discretionary pool of money gets decreased, now the more and more that's going to impact the entertainment side, the lifestyle, the restaurants, your tips that you're talking about.
That's why I can't sell any tickets to my comedy shows. People don't want to pay.
Well, we just lost the Havana Grill in Roosevelt Field.
Right.
Because people aren't coming out. It's a great restaurant. I've been there a lot. Sorry to see it go. But the fact is that restaurants are closing down because people don't have that discretionary income to go out to dinner. And that affects the wait staff. In that Havana Grill restaurant, there are 80 people who are now out of work trying to find more work in an industry that's contracting.
Right. So
it's an impact. It's an impact all around. And Long Island
hurts everybody.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned about the healthcare industry. It's like the #1 place to go.
Well, we're getting old and dying.
Understood. And then we also have more colleges here than in many other areas. That's another thing. So those folks are, the students generally don't have a lot of discretionary income to begin with. And as that continues to get cut, it definitely is a problem. And I'll throw a plug in over here. I got time?
Yeah. Good.
This is why we need a local motorsports park. All right, I'm done. You'll invite me back on
local
that one.
motorsports park.
This way I don't have to spend the money in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and the rest of that. It's all here. It's good. It's good for local economy. Just saying.
What about the salt tax? The salt tax increase, right, from 10 to 40?
Yeah, well, that's big. Now, you see, when you take a look, and most of my clients, as a CPA, I've got some tax clients, and they were not severely impacted by the SALT because the standard deduction went up to over $30,000.
Right.
So whereas there are a lot of people who have high interest and high property taxes on Long Island, of course, they're high.
Well, 40,000.
And
you
so,
got a nice house
so
if you're paying 40,000.
Well, that's the cap.
Yeah.
That's the cap. It used to be 10,000.
Right.
So if you have property taxes of 20,000 and mortgage interest of 20,000, so it's 40,000 itemized deduction. Well, you've exceeded the standard exemption.
Right.
But if you have 20,000 in taxes and 10,000 in mortgage interest, well, the standard deduction is greater than that. So it helps some people. It's been it's really been a real target because it was reduced because they wanted to hurt New York and California and some of the blue states in the Congress. But the fact of the matter is that the SALT deduction, while important, you'll find that most of the middle class have done okay without the SALT deduction increase.
Because of the standard deduction.
Because of the increased standard deduction,
Right.
which the president has made permanent, adjusted for inflation. So now, if you're paying more for food or you're paying more for gasoline or whatever due to inflation, well, now you've got a standard deduction that's also adjusting for inflation and going higher. And that's an important thing.
Okay, great. We'll be back. We're going to talk about some of the other misnomers about this big, beautiful bill. And I want to talk about, like, how much is it going to cost over the years? We'll be back in a minute.
The America First Ultra MAGA Store. For all your MAGA needs. We sell t-shirts, tumblers, flags, hats, sneakers, bumper stickers, and a whole lot more. The most patriotic America First retail store. The America First Ultra MAGA Store.
Gold and silver, it's God's money, and we all need it. Unfortunately, the whole precious metals industry is rigged in favor of the wealthy people. In fact, it's so complicated that 95% of all Americans don't own any precious metals. What the industry needed was a way for us to buy fractional units of precious metals, get free storage in a secure vault, have them insured, take physical possession of the metals, or instantaneously liquidate the assets at one of the highest buyback prices in the industry. Well, now there is. It's called a sound money account, and everybody needs one. With a membership, you can start buying gold and silver with as little as $1. Now that fits everyone's budget. Also, our members can gift gold and silver between each other in our sound money accounts. What a great way to pass on generational wealth. You'll be able to rest easier knowing you have the security and flexibility found in having your very own sound money account. Please scan the QR code or go to tafwsoundmoney.com to learn more. The America First Warehouse wants every American to have access to owning their very own precious metals.
Freddie Rubino here at the America First Warehouse. I'm inviting you to the live taping of the Not So Newlywed Show. Just click on the QR code right above my shoulder and you can get tickets. Live taping of the Not So Newlywed Show. Drinks, snacks, it's a great time. We'll see you there October 18th.
The America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be.
America First Warehouse was really the most patriotic venue that you can ever imagine. We wanted to build something for people to be able to come to and feel so comfortable and so relaxed because there was nothing out there like it. We give an opportunity for people to really feel good about themselves and about this great country.
The America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be.
These pros of wisdom.
And we're back, Suffocating in Suburbia, but this has been a robust conversation. I'm sure we didn't answer all the questions. But one thing I keep hearing whenever they did, and this is with everything in government, is how are you going to pay for this? What's it going to, it's going to destroy the debt. It's going to create, the deficit's going to be huge. And that was with the big, beautiful bill. They talked about that a lot. They said it was going to increase it over $350 billion over 4 years. Now, how do they pay for it?
Well, what the president's hoping is that the tariff revenues that are coming in,
17 billion? How much is coming in tariff revenues?
Well, I think I heard 4 billion recently from the
4
first
billion.
period of time. But the reality is what he's hoping for is this extra money that's going into people's pockets, the extra tax benefits to business to invest, that they will generate more gross domestic product, pay higher taxes, not increase taxes, but more taxes based upon economic growth that goes into the Treasury that can reduce the debt. Now, there's going to be a debt reduction, but yes, but what the Tax Foundation has done is they're using 1.2% growth in GDP. If it goes higher, up to 2%, then the deficit goes down. So the other thing that they've done is they make a 10-year projection. I never listen to 10-year projections.
Right.
It's hard enough to project beyond 2 years. But the fact is, yes, does this bill increase the deficit? Yes, it does. Will hopefully with the bring in more gross domestic product increases, will that bring in more tax revenue? That's what the president hopes for. The tariff revenues, that should all reduce it. The other bad thing is the fact that it used to be that the federal debt was equal to the gross domestic product. That was during the Bush years, way back in the early 2000s. Then, in the middle of the 2015s, it was the federal debt was 20% of the gross domestic product. Now it's over 25%. The problem with that is the government doesn't produce or make anything, and by taking that extra 5% for government debt,
inflation.
Well, that creates inflation. But also, what it does is removes the capital from private sector to invest in their own income-producing businesses. And we all know when you take private capital out of the hands of entrepreneurs and put it into the government, that's not a good thing.
No, it's
and so
you might as well flush it down the toilet at that point.
Well, yeah, okay, but the most important thing, the most important thing you want to,
a polite way of disagreeing with you.
But the most important thing that you want to do is return that capital back into the private sector,
Of course.
so they create more jobs and more
they create
economic
more product.
activity.
And then the prices go down.
Well, the
because
prices go
there's
down is another story. That's supply and demand. That's a story for
supply
another
and
day.
demand. end, it all works together. Businesses running the country makes a lot more sense than the government running the country.
And unfortunately, we have this part of the Democratic Party which doesn't believe in capitalism and private sector. And we're going to see a new mayor of New York City who doesn't believe in capital, doesn't believe in private sector investment, doesn't believe in job growth,
He's going
believe
to
in
chase
sociality.
everybody away.
Yeah, and that's the wrong thing. America's a capital economy, and not to encourage that is the wrong thing to do if you want New York City, Long Island, and America to prosper. Plain and simple.
I don't think he's going to win anyway. That's my
I don't know.
I don't think he's going to make it. I think people are going to wake up.
Well, I certainly hope so.
They're already leaving. They're leaving New York City. They don't want to.
Well, they've been doing that for a while.
It's getting worse. Okay, so one of the things they're talking about, this complicates all the different tax rules and regulations are going to make things complicated for people. Is that a true thing? I mean, there is a lot of intricacies going on in this bill that, I mean, how does it work for you as a CPA? Are you prepared to handle these changes?
Oh, the changes are easy. They're not major changes. What this bill has done is it kept in place a lot of what was in the first bill that President Trump enacted, was it 2016-17?
Right,
if this bill had not been approved, then 62% of Americans would have found that their taxes would have gone up.
Right.
So all this does is makes permanent a lot of the aspects of that tax bill. So as an accountant, it's easier because you don't have to deal with a lot of crazy changes and tax planning and advising clients. But it keeps in place a lot of the elements of the tax code which will benefit taxpayers. But that's why they have tax packages and computers, because it helps prepare us along the way.
Right. I do mine on H&R Block, believe it or not.
Well, there you go. And H&R Block, I'm sure, is already programmed whatever changes there are.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. I don't have any problems with it. Brian.
Sir?
I'd like you to talk about what you're doing. I love the heat. Brian is, are you an announcer or are you involved in that? The Calverton has a racetrack.
Yeah, Calverton has a racetrack.
Yeah.
And all these things that you're talking about over here, it all fits in with that. And without going, and I know I've done improv comedy, so we don't have to go.
Oh yeah, he also tried comedy, which
I tried.
Let's use the word. Let's use the word tried.
I know, second guessed and tried. I'm coming back. Oh my gosh.
Are you really?
Yeah, I don't know. We could talk about it. I don't know. Maybe I'll have Marty back. We'll see about it right here.
Okay.
Yeah, so a lot of the things that we're talking about over here, I've been trying to do on a much more local level, obviously much more local. So through the catalyst of a motorsports park and the automobile industry and the car racing, I've been speaking at different schools about careers. And it's not so much about being an auto mechanic, but if we do show up with a car, we do speak to the students that are in an automotive program, those students are now seeing all kinds of career potential, here on Long Island, because it leads to careers in automotive, obviously, but also manufacturing and also within the defense industry.
When you say manufacturing, not building cars, we're not building cars.
Well, we're not building cars, but we're building a lot of things here. You talk about the pharmaceutical industry, You know where a lot of those plastic containers are built? Right here. There's a lot of stuff being built right here on Long Island. You don't see the smokestacks. I didn't know until I really started getting involved with this thing. But we don't see the smokestacks in any place. Yeah, I mean, we do see the tractor trailers out there, right, with the traffic and things like that. But you're not seeing those big, gigantic warehouses that you would see, when you're traveling over to Pennsylvania. But there's a lot of manufacturing going on over here, a lot. And a lot of it's very detailed. And the same thing with the defense industry. We have 250 defense contractors here. A lot of them are involved with building submarines. And no, you have not seen a submarine go rolling down the highway over here. We're not putting the metal plates together on this side. That'll be over at Groton, Connecticut. But there's a lot of technology that's being used here, developed here, which goes into a lot of what you're talking about there with the different tax credits and the way things are depreciated or amortized, that are done here. So a lot of careers. So that's where I've been at, and it all got started because one of the radio stations asked me to lead a panel discussion. I said, fine. I said yes without asking. Well, about what? They didn't care. And then I talked about the Ronkonkoma Hub, station yards, the airport, MacArthur Airport, and the idea of a drag strip. And then they put an announcement that they were looking for help on the microphone. I said yes. And I don't know anything about it, but it opened doors. So when I do get the invitation, even if it's second fiddle, and I get that, what third choice or whatever it is, I'll say yes, because you never know what doors are going to open.
Absolutely.
And there are plenty of doors out there. And Marty, I definitely appreciate what you've been talking about over here and the different aspects of it, because that's one of the things I think we are lacking in a big way. Listening skills. We're not doing that. You know, we have Democrats, we have Republicans, we listen to sound bites. It seems like nobody cares about the full story, just little pieces of it. So
Well, that's
it's
the
great
thing.
to
You
be a
know,
part
the
of this.
media doesn't give you the full story. I don't know where you get information from. It's hard to find information. And then you have to look at 12 different places to kind of figure out what. But I brought experts here, and that's what I try to do with this show, is I want to talk to people that know what's going on instead of listening to the latest soundbite, like you said, or the latest talking head that has some kind of bias or to their corporate overlords.
No, I know we need to grow the employees here. We need to show people what it's like to work at these places here, to keep that business here, to keep those businesses here, but also to keep those students here. Otherwise, we're all going to move off Long Island. That's not going to be good.
Exactly. You know, and we want a place that that the kids could build and continue to build. Long Island's a great place where we can go back to that golden age.
You know, speaking, about the small businesses and keeping kids here, one of the things in the bill, which is really good, since 89% of small businesses on Long Island have 5 or fewer employees, they're small business.
Right.
We've been built on small business. There is a section 199. I know, makes your eyes roll back when you talk about a section in the code. But what that did was it allowed small business, sub-S corporations, sole proprietors, you could deduct 20% of your profit against your taxes. That was made permanent in this bill, and that's a big bill, a big component of the bill, because it puts more money back in small businesses to reinvest, to create jobs, to reduce their taxes, to put more discretionary income. So that's another thing that's very important for the small business sector on the island that this bill addresses and helps along the way. So there's some good things for the economy in this bill.
Yeah, especially if you got a startup business. You finally start making money. What happens? You got to pay all the taxes. So if you don't have to pay the taxes, you keep going. Maybe we'll get more success stories. More guests for you there, my friend.
Exactly. That's exactly what I want. This has been a great show. I think we could have done a second show with all this stuff on here. I didn't even get to half of this, but that's okay. I hope it was informative. Make sure to watch the other podcasts here at the First America Warehouse. My buddy, Kevin Downey Jr., he's insane, but you'll love him. My other buddy, Fred Rubino, has a show. That's what I'm talking about. Every Tuesday at, I think it's 11:30 or 12 o'clock. I'm not sure. 11 o'clock? I've been on it. It's fun. And the Patriots, Real America's Voice, live from Studio B. There's a lot of stuff to offer here. I love Joe the Box. I love Corporate Transfer. I love this place. It's great. I want to thank you two guys for coming on my show. I'm back next month. October 29th is a special show. It's a Halloween show. I have a really fun guest, a guy, Michael Ebert, who wrote a book called Legends of the Lake. We've all heard about it, Ron Konkema, the Lady of the Lake, who takes a young man once a year, right? You ever hear this story? There's a whole story. I started reading his book. It's fascinating. We're going to talk about that. And I also have a guy named Poet Billy Lamont. He's been at CBGB's. He worked with U2. He's been around forever. And he's going to do a poem he wrote that's about Edgar Allan Poe. It's called The Raven 2, Talking Back to the Raven. So it's going to be a creepy, spooky kind of show. A lot of fun. That's going to be Wednesday, October 29th. Suffocating in Suburbia. I'm Stevie GB. One more time for Marty Cantor.
Thank you,
CPA,
Steve. Glad to be here.
And one more time for Brian Cohen, my last-minute guest. And certainly had an earful for all of us. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good one.